Hey, what's up, Spooky fam? Today we are wrapping up Horror Anthologies week a little differently than planned. I didn't realize how much time I would spend on my research for these movies. I love anthologies so much, but I overthink. Is that a word? I put a lot of overthinking. On this specific week alone, because I love anthologies so much, and I wanted to make sure that in my Southbound video I got as much information out as possible because I love that movie so much. So this week alone I did a lot for this series, and I mean for this week alone I did a lot for this series, and I think I went too hard in the paint for Anthologies week with the research bit, and I didn't give myself enough room to film and edit, so that's my fault. I really wanted to make a video ranking every segment in the VHS trilogy series, I guess, and that is what I'm taking out of this week for now. I will get around to making that video because I'm quite passionate about it, but I do want to wrap up this week by talking about the Mortuary collection, which I didn't end up enjoying, surprisingly. I'm actually really surprised at how much I didn't enjoy this one. I just want to talk about it really quick, and then I'm going to do my week wrap up so that we can get back into some hauls that I have filmed for you. So very quickly, the Mortuary collection is found on Shudder. It is a 2019 horror anthology. This one is about a young woman who responds to a help wanted sign outside of a mortuary, where inside the coroner/mortician recounts stories of those who've died in their town. So really quickly, I'm just going to describe the 4 segments to you. The first one is about a pickpocket who gets too curious and a Lovecraftian monster appears, I would say. The second segment is called Unprotected. The first segment was unnamed, by the way. The second segment is called Unprotected, and it's about frat boys who are trying to kind of suss out the easy girls by offering condoms, but when one removes his condom, he is left with a deadly decision. That one I ended up liking more the second time I went around to watch it. Segment 3 is called Till Death, about a husband and wife. The wife is catatonic and the husband is depressed. His doctor offers him a way out, and when he goes to take that way out, some supernatural things happen, and it gets kind of spooky. I really wasn't a fan of that one, surprisingly. And then finally we have the babysitter murders, which is pretty self-explanatory. Someone's going around killing kids. And that is one thing I liked about this movie, is they did not shy away from talking about child murder or child cannibalism or cannibalism in general. This movie was incredibly long. It was nearly 2 hours long, which is quite long for an anthology. And near the end, I just didn't feel passionate enough to make a full video on it. Surprisingly, I'm really surprised by that. I really thought I would like this one a lot. But that's why I just kind of wanted to wrap everything up all in one. But first, let's get into ratings. For storytelling, this one gets a 7 out of 10. It had a good core story that was about storytelling. For scares, I will go ahead and give it a 7.5 out of 10, depending who you are. It might be a little scarier to you. I've seen different, you know, I've seen more. For cohesiveness, this one for me only gets a 5 out of 10 because 3 of the segments felt disconnected from the whole thing. I don't know. I really liked the first story. The second and third story were, you know, hit and miss. The last story was alright. It was intriguing because it wrapped in with the overall arching theme, but I wasn't a fan of this one. So overall for me, the Mortuary collection gets a 5.5 out of 10. But let's move on to the wrap up. This month we obviously did Horror Anthology Week. We've seen a lot of stories. We've also seen a bunch of different displays of horror and gore and mystery and suspense and just different things all through this week. But what did we learn? With ghost stories, we learned that the brain is a strange and mysterious and sometimes unresolved place. From Southbound, we certainly, if you have not learned this already, we've learned, do not take rides from strangers. Please watch the road when you are driving. Don't kill your parents. And if entraily dementor things come after you, it's probably because you've done something wrong. With Body Bags, we learned that John Carpenter could definitely moonlight as a coroner. And with the Mortuary collection, spoiler alert, we learned don't open people's cabinets, don't take your condom off, don't kill your catatonic wife, and sometimes the babysitter may not always be who they say they are. This week we definitely saw different approaches to storytelling, and I appreciate that very much. And I cannot wait to share my ranking of all of the VHS shorts with you guys. So, segments, I guess. So that's all for me for today. I hope that you enjoyed this video. Sorry to mash them all into one. I just really wasn't a fan too much of, like, I didn't really want to get too much into the Mortuary collection because it was such a long, an unnecessarily long movie. But anyways, that's it for Horror Anthologies week. And back to regularly scheduled programming. Rin is going off. I'm gonna go before she gets too loud. Sayonara, spooky fam.